Hey guys, how you doing? It's the Do Carpenter. I am back in my wood shop again, and I'm making a very specific project for my wife. She asked me to make her a pair of scissor holders. I told her, I said, hey, didn't I make some of those for you a couple years ago? And I had. Luckily I kept the jigs, but that's the project we're going to be doing today. It was such a big hit, I ended up making about 10 of them for gifts for her friends and whatnot. And apparently someone came over and said that they liked them, and so she had given hers away, and so she needs some more. But this is exactly what we're going to be making right here. It just holds a couple pair of scissors, and when I do these little projects like this, I like to do contrasting wood, so I did it out of oak and black walnut, and it's a neat, classy looking little project, and it's easy to do. It's simple, anybody could do it. Okay guys, a couple of years ago when I first originally did this project, I struggled gluing it together because I'm going to glue two pieces at an angle like that, and so I ended up having to make a little jig to facilitate that. And if it's a project you like or whatever, just leave a comment below and I'll leave the plans for the jig as well. You don't need much materials. This is a little bit much. You see, this is a piece of oak about, I don't know, 5/16 thick. It's relatively inexpensive. A couple pieces of black walnut, and you can see when the scissors fit in, they're gonna fit just about like that. And then this will hang on the side of her cabinet beside her sink, and she can have two pairs of kitchen shears in it. Okay, the first thing we're going to make is the backer plate for the scissor holder. Alright, we're just drilling our pilot holes all the way through. There you go, we got 4 screw holes that are going to hold the scissor holder on, and they're recessed in the back, so the screws I used to put it on are going to sit flush. I have a shopsmith so I can slide my headstock or my table. I know that the diameter of this circle is 4 inches, the radius is 2 inches, so I want my fulcrum point, or my center point, to be 2 inches from my sanding disc. I drilled that hole 1/8 inch deep to accommodate this nail sticking up. Let's see how close it is. There we go. Right on my line. Okay guys, the next step is we got to mark where we're going to make our cuts on our pieces of wood here that are going to make the actual scissor holder. So to do that, it's pretty easy. We can just actually measure. You got to take into account there's a 10-degree cut on each end, so you got to allow and make a little extra for it. And then for this piece, it has to be, we'll just make it at least, what, 3 5/8 inches long. And I think we need to decide on what's going to be the prettiest parts of the wood, because sometimes these little knots and swirls look really good when they're sanding down and finished. This piece has to be, I hope these are wide enough, they have to be at least 2.5 inches wide. Oh, they're perfect. Okay. I planned that. In my wife's original little sketch she gave me, she wanted it to be at least 1.25 inches deep to facilitate 2 pairs of shears. I've decided that the back side of this piece, where that knot is and has all these swirls, once it's sanded, is going to look really good. That piece is going to be the wedge piece that goes right in here on the top to hold the front of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is scribe a line 1.25 inches. Okay. Now I'll use this as a marking piece, and I'll just set it right on that line. And I'll just scribe another line on the other edge. And this line is going to tell me exactly how much material I need to rip off of this piece here. Now, we know that these side pieces that I'm going to make this out of have to be at least 4 inches long to facilitate the 10-degree cuts on each side there. 5/8. Let's go 3 3/4. Just, you can always take a little off, remember? And so this piece will get cut. Okay guys, next I'm going to set my slider gauge, instead of at 90 degrees, at 80, so there will be a 10-degree differential. Okay. What that's going to allow me to do is run my cut pieces through like that and just take 10 degrees off on either side. Now I'll have to flop it over because they have to be opposites of each other. Perfect. Okay guys, when I'm gluing stuff, I like to put a little bit on both sides. I'll just put a little bead there, and I made a bunch of these little glue spreading sticks. They just allow me to make sure I get glue everywhere I want glue to be. And then I'm going to put a bead right here. We'll just set that down in the center there. And that's where those are going to get glued. Just like that. Now we put our little scrap pieces of wood for our wedge jig. I made this wedge jig, by the way. And there we go. We just let that dry for a couple hours, and then we'll sand it off and screw everything together, and it'll be beautiful. Okay guys, at this stage of the project we're going to attach these together, and we're going to set our pilot holes where they need to be. We obviously have our recessed drill holes where they go. All we have to do is line up our markings. Okay, once I get it set where I want, I'm going to take a pilot hole marker, which is kind of a neat tool, spring loaded, and it pops a little divot in the wood where your pilot hole needs to be. Okay, there you go. All of our pilot holes are marked with our neat little tool. So I'm going to go ahead and just drill them out for our screws. I only need to go in maybe 3/8 or a half an inch because they're really short screws in them. Okay, at this point in the construction, I'm not gluing it on purpose, so I think I already described that, didn't I? Mm-hmm. Babe, I forgot to drill a hole for the top.